Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of the Blues News podcast. I'm here with Pip from the YouTube channel D1VERSITY. Firstly, Pip, how are you doing?
Hello, mate. I am exceptional today. As you can see, I like to be a positive bloke. The weather outside is gorgeous. I'm feeling good today, and I'm on the best podcast that Southend owns. What else can't I win with?
Wow, I haven't had praise like that on here before, so that's always nice. But well, there you go. It's never a bad day when you're on a Blues News podcast. You've heard it here first, so not too bad. So I was just talking to Pip before the podcast. So we're going to talk a bit about obviously his background and why he supports Southend, things like that. And then we'll sort of move into talking about your YouTube channel, talking about Southend at the moment. And then we've got about 9 fan questions, which I was saying to Pip before the podcast. He's clearly a popular man because we've had a lot of questions come in. So we'll get through those as well. So yeah, so starting off, Pip, if it's always a nice icebreaker and really always the first thing that I ask. So if you could just tell us a bit about your background, how you came to love Southend and all the rest of it, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, sure. Let's get right into this. So Southend and me always and will always come from my old man. He was born in Southend, a council flat, and he just was born into a South life. His dad supported it, and it just went through the chain almost. And then I was born, and it fell onto me like, yep, you're going to have Southend in you. And to be fair, me and my family, we moved away from Essex area when I was young, about 3 years old. We moved to Hampshire. And my old man always said, like, you can support who you want. And obviously in Hampshire, there's a few big teams. You got Southampton's, Portsmouth, Oxford, Swindon, all those teams in and around there, and said, just support who you want. Even if you don't like football, I'm going to stay with Southend. And every once in a while, living in Hampshire, he would travel to Essex at first without me and go watch him. And he'd come home and he'd tell me how Southend got battered 4-0. And this is the time of like 2003 and 4. So we were actually at that time on a goodish roll in promotions, going up for the division. So most of the time it'd be like, oh, we won 2-0 and it was a great game. And being at that young age, you just go, I want to be a part of that. So I remember he took me to, I believe my first ever game was Bristol City at home when we won promotion. I can't give you the tier off the top of my head, but there's a photo that he has of me standing in the East Stand on a chair with a scarf above my head, just dancing away to us lifting a trophy at Rootsall. And that moment stuck with me for forever almost. And I just never could turn away from Southend. It was always a bug that once it gets you, it's not letting go. You're stuck for life. And we've been through it all, haven't we, as Southend? We've seen the good times, the bad times in between, the ugly. But it's never, ever dawned upon me to like another team. Southend has always been a team for me that I love and have always had that passion for. And like I said, I moved away when I was young, and you've got all your mates around you who support, like we said, the Southamptons, the Portsmouth. They're like, Southend, who are they? Why do you support a team 100 miles away? And I just simply always just say, because it's my love. I love them. I won't ever step away from Rootsall, Southend, even, like we said, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm stuck forever doing YouTube, being a fan, a supporter. I love it.
Well, we have something in common there. Obviously, both supporting a club that we're miles away from, really. So it's funny that we're so far away. But yeah, you just do have that love. And for me, I've never even lived in Essex at all in my life. I've always lived in Kent. And but as you said, it's my dad. He would go to games and stuff. And, you just sort of get hooked when you're really young. And you just think, Christ, I want to be a part of that. And you want to go to football with your dad, and you end up just supporting who he does, and it happened to be Southend. So it's I'll always be thankful it was Southend, because there's some not good times, but there's also good times. So and we always make a laugh out of the bad times anyway. So it's a good fan base as well. I think for the most part, there's a lot of really nice people in it. So we get through it, don't we? So
we survive. Like I said, the fans are amazing on away days as well. We're top notch, and the sheer support that this club has. Even last season when we were in dire ditches and on the end of everything, we still turned up. We still supported our boys, and we made it through. I'd say one of the worst seasons a football club could ever experience.
Yeah. But certainly, it couldn't get much worse, could it really? Transfer embargoes, not knowing if you have a club for pretty much the whole season, about 2 players on the bench for a lot of it. Yeah, it couldn't get much worse. But obviously, we'll talk a lot about your YouTube channel, because that's a big reason why I've got you on today. But just touching on it, you said about how good the fans are, and one thing that I've noticed since I've started my my account is the support that you get is just incredible, really. And with people coming up to you and saying that you're doing a good job and stuff, it's a nice thing, and messages and stuff. But one moment I remember from I think it was last season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was last season, is when all the fans were singing your name. So how did that feel when you had the whole of about Block W pretty much all singing your name? How did that feel?
Oh, right, yeah. That's a funny story, that. So, to cast people's minds back, some won't know, every sort of year there's I call it the Football Content Awards. So anyone who does football work in media, like podcasts, like Blues News, obviously the best out there, me and all other vloggers, podcasters, people who work with actual clubs can get entered into this. And I was lucky enough to be entered again this year. And in a couple of weeks, I'll find out if I make the finals. But to go back to the original part, last year, I made the finals up in Liverpool. Me, all my family, my old man, his missus, my missus, my uncle, my aunt. There were 6 of us. We were there, and I think I was in, I'd say, the top 3 to pull away with an award, and I was really stoked that night. And you know, as you are, you start having a few beers, you start letting your hair down a bit, and you're like, yeah, this will be easy. And it gets to my round, I'm near the end, and I'm quite plastered at this point, might I point out. I'm just sitting on top of yeah, my shirt, yeah. And so the awards happen, and I don't win, but another Southend vlogger did in Shrimpers TV, Liam, who has unfortunately stopped now, and I do miss him. He's such a great lad, and he used to do such great content. So Liam, if you ever watch this, get back on your stuff, mate. But no, so we didn't win, and then the game after that was at home to Chesterfield. So for me, from a mental point of view, I just thought, right, I've got nothing to lose here. I've got nothing to prove. I didn't win anything, so I'm just me. And that's, I think, a key point I want to take into is I'm just diversity. I will do what I do because I know people enjoy it. And then on that day, especially, I was invited to do an interview with TNT Sports. And that was absolutely mega. That was just beyond belief. I got escorted through the players' entrance by Matt Mundy, taken out pitch side, and you've got Paul Cook just standing behind me. And I'm just like, hello, Paul. I haven't seen you in a while. But, and no, I'm with Jeff Brazier, I think Brasler, the surname is. And no, we do an interview that lasts 5 minutes, and I'm with another Chesterfield fan, and he makes a prediction of 2-1 to Chesterfield, and I go, no, mate, it's coming 2-1 to Southend, which of course it was 2-1 to Southend on that day. So best moment I'm ever going to have on TV. I'm going to say that now. And no, so that happens. Like I said, the interview happens, and I'm walking away, and I'm talking to my camera, just going, I've just done that, what that? And no, I got round Chesterfield bit, they're all chanting away, and I got to Block W, and I just heard faint chants of he's one of our own. I thought, oh, they're probably saying about like Ollie Coker, for example. They're probably just getting the chanting. I'm just like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll get a pan of this as I'm walking past. Then I had diversity, and I literally, my heart just like, I can't describe it, just like bled blue, because it was such a special moment. I could just look at people's faces and go, they're chanting about me, a guy who lives 100 miles away in Basingstoke, who just travels here and records games. It made me melt inside. I remember I walked away from that after I walked to my seat, and I was actually in tears. And I tried my best to hide it, because I don't like to be too emotional, but I literally bawled out when I got to my seat. I put my head down. I was like, oh my God, that just happened. I was like, and I think you can relate as well. You make milestones as a channel, like like subscribers and likes and how many shares you get. But that for me was better than any award I could have won ever in my life. And that is one video that I will never, ever lose, delete. And if anything in the future, that will be a video I show to my kids when they grow up, if they go to Southend and or whenever they want to get their own jobs in the future, and it might be too hard and they have dreams, and you just say, just push, just keep going, go through all the bad times. Like I said, I didn't win an award the next day. I got appreciated by about 500 fans in the West Stand. Small things can change. Your dream might change. The pathway to it might change, but the end result could just only be better. And that's the only way I can look at that day and just go, yes, like I said, I failed in winning something, but I gained so much respect and so much joy inside of me on that day that it'll never leave.
No, it was a really special moment, and I was one of the ones singing, so there you go. So I sit in Block V, the one just next to W. So but even Block V were singing it, and it was a really nice moment. And it's just, I can't imagine what that would feel like to have that many.
Yours is coming, mate. Don't you? Your time is coming, mate.
I think I'm away off that, but maybe one day we like to stream. But you touched on obviously the Football Content Awards, and obviously I believe they're coming up, and you're up for it again. So do you think there's a chance this year?
Everyone always asks you that. They say, "Oh, you're going to bring it home. You're going to do it." And I just you go like, "Yeah, you want to," but then you look at the field you're up against, and there's quality in there. I mean, just from a vlogging perspective, there's an older shot vlogger called 𝗘𝟭𝟬𝗩𝗘𝗥𝗦𝗧𝗬. He is very good at what he does. He does vlogging in a different style to me, and it works so superb. There's others in there. And the good thing about the Football Content Awards is it's not the person who has the most subscribers or the most likes that will win this. It's whoever the fans and the people feel does, like, non-league, in my case, justice.
Yeah.
So 𝗘𝟑𝟬𝟑𝗦𝗧𝗬, obviously, like I said, with older shot, he does quality content. There's many more out there who cover the whole variety of the non-league. But in terms of myself, I'm going to back myself. And I want to say I'm going to bring it home because I really want to bring it home. So if it happens, this will be my 3rd year attending. The first year we got 2nd place. The 2nd year we got nothing, unfortunately, but we won the next day at home to Chesterfield, and I got a nice little chant, so that beats that. Yep. So this year, I'm not saying I did enjoy the chant, guys, but if I could win something and then maybe get a chant, that's a whole different category of fish.
Even better. Well, yeah, obviously I'm rooting for you. I voted for you, so hopefully you can bring it home this year. That'd be brilliant because, as you said, obviously, you know, you've had the chant, but now it's time to win something. It's time to have an award to show for all your hard work. So that would be great. So talking about vlogging, so how did you first get into vlogging? Because I think it's an interesting thing to ask. Because, you know, how do you just suddenly decide that you want to start vlogging at games?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, outside of YouTubing and in general day-to-day life, I'm a chef. So they're pretty cooling hours. They're pretty horrible times. And you're stuck in a kitchen on a boiling hot day like today, and you are sweating away. You're not escaping the heat. So ever since a young age of 12, I always thought, what could I do? And I always had a little interest in cooking. And it started off for me at the age of 13, just being a local potato peeler in my local pub. And it was absolute rubbish. I'm pretty sure it was illegal at the age of 13 to be working. But hopefully no one from HMRC watches this ever. So, no, I started off as that, and it just grew like with YouTube almost. It just started off as a little potato peeler, and I made my way to washing up. Then it was actually getting my hands on things, getting dirty, making things. And it used to be very long days, and then I'd come home late at night from work, as you imagine, being a chef, and you come out like 10:30, 11 at night, and you just want to sit down, you just want to relax a bit, let off the steam. And I always used to watch, a lot of people know this name, 𝗘𝟑𝟬𝟑𝗑𝗦𝗧𝗬, a vlogger on YouTube who does the On the Road series. He was my go-to when I finished work. I would watch all of his videos every night on repeat sometimes because I loved them. And it clicked on me one night, and I just went, Southend doesn't have anything like this. And me being an exile, living far away like yourself, just thought, why don't I do this? What's the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is I'm going to get like told to just bog off, or you're not good enough, go away. And I just thought, there's no loss here. I'm going to go for it. So my first ever vlog was away to Charlton at the Valley. And I watched that video recently, and it is so bad. It's so bad. I mean, just in terms of the quality, the game's okay, but the quality of that game, from my own personal perspective, was like, oh my god, that's setting a low standard for me. But it didn't put me down. I just thought, I've done one, let's do another one. And it went to another and another. And by the time, I don't know, about a year and a half into vlogging, I had my first ever person come up to me and go, "You're Diversity. I watch you. Can I get a photo?" And that was another milestone moment for me. Like, I've just made it to that level. And it never, ever dawned on me to ever stop vlogging. Because like we said before, the fans supporting the club are truly amazing. And to have some of those fans come over to myself personally and just go, "I love what you do. Keep going," it means the world and more. And there's been days and times, especially last season when we had all the disarray and dismantle, that I was so just like, I don't want to pick up a camera today. I just can't do it. And I'd have people messaging me just out of the blue randomly saying, "Hi, my name's this. I love what you do. Keep up the good work." And it would fuel me, and it would just make me go, "Do you know what? I'm picking up this camera. I'm doing this." And we'd go and win like 3-0 away at Oldham, for example. And it would just be the best feeling ever, knowing that, yes, I've got some good content, but I know that people are going to enjoy this. and it's just going to keep building. And luckily for me, it has kept building. Bearing in mind at the minute, we're on a bit of a standstill with the channel, but views-wise, likewise, it's still all amazing. All the people that come to me on games and just talk to me. I had a kid the other day who unfortunately I think he was autistic or something. Sorry, I think it was Riley off the top of my head. And he just came over and I spent 15 minutes with him just before kickoff. And I just talked to him. I got him on the video and I got a message of his mum that night that just said, "You've made my son's day." And that honestly, it just made me think, wow, like this is what I do. But I'm changed, so not change people's lives, but I'd like let people see into a world that maybe you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, I'm so grateful to the people that follow me, that push me along this journey, and who knows where this journey will end up. But for now, I'm more than happy being Diversity, the guy that holds the camera like a nutter at Southend, gets a few odd looks, but why not? Because we love it.
Yeah, well, it's great as well, and especially for someone like myself who lives so far away, because I come to pretty much every game, but there'll always be every season the odd game that I miss, and then I get to go home and watch. I don't even watch highlights on YouTube now. I just watch your vlogs, so it's like you watch that, and it lets you see what the crowd was like and all sorts of things that you don't get to see on highlights anyway. So it's good. Yeah, it's brilliant to see. If you can't go to a game, I've seen a lot of people as well who just say, "Oh, I couldn't make the game today, so I'll watch Diversity vlog." So it's it's brilliant. So aside from obviously all of the recognition from fans, what do you think's the part that you love most about it? Do you enjoy the editing, or what sort of part do you love most about doing it?
Oh, you had to take the fans out because I love the fans the most.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll put fans like top tier. But if I had to pick a number one, what do I enjoy? I think. Oh, that's tricky, because I like all of it, to be fair. So I'll link it briefly back to chefing, where that's quite a physically demanding job. And vlogging is kind of a totally different end of the spectrum. It's relaxed, so I can go to a game for us, especially going to Roots, always like another away game, so it's always a long travel. But no, I just enjoy all of it. I enjoy the drive there. I enjoy parking up at BP every week and not getting a fine somehow. Please, BP, don't fine me ever, because I owe you thousands in parking tickets probably. No, I enjoy the walk to the ground. As we said, the fans are top tier. The actual game, even like against Sutton, yes, okay, that wasn't the greatest of games. We could do this video after, sorry, but it was. Yeah, I just love everything to do with it, and this is what has changed my path. I'm going to go back to what I said about my kids in the future wanting to pick their jobs and their careers and their dreams. My dream always was to be a chef, but ever since I'd say 2 years ago, my dream has altered to being more into media and a football side. And you spoke to Chris Phillips last week, sorry, and I listened to that fully. Great podcast as well. And Chris is always an amazing guy to speak to.
Yeah,
and he said, and I think this is his exact words, that he always wanted to be involved with Southend from a young age. Whether it was being a footballer, which he didn't make, but he did play at Roots. So I remember that part, Chris. But I didn't see that photo of the under-10, so I want to see that photo.
Yeah, I know. I tried to get it off him, but I should have maybe pestered him for that photo a bit more.
No, so like I said, my dream has changed, and I want to be a part of a media team within Southend. I want to do something for this club, whether it's being Diversity, a media guy, whether it's being Pip, just being a guy who does anything to help Southend, or being Chef Pip, cooking for people at Southend. I want to be involved because it's a club that means so much to me. My family, like my missus, my kids, they all realise that, and they always ask, like, when I come home from a game, like, "Oh, how was it? How many clips did you get? Did you meet this person? Did you see Sammy today? Did you see the goals?" And it just melts my heart to think this could be a future for me and my family. And it's even gotten to that point, dare I say, because recently, about 4 months ago, we moved house. We moved into a new flat here where it was never going to be a full-time stay. My family and me are willing to commit to move to Essex. It's that serious.
Wow.
Like, they believe in me. I believe in myself that I want to make this work. And all it takes is, something official. But that's for another time and another place. But I truly just love everything to do with vlogging. I love everything that you people bring to me. And the best part, actually, just to top this all off, the best part is reading comments. The best part of it all is reading feedback and seeing, like, brilliant video, or amazing, you've made my day. Like we said about people messaging you privately, just brings your spirit up and makes you go, I'm going to do it again next week, but I'm going to do it better. So everything about vlogging just ticks my boxes, mate.
Well, yeah, obviously there's so many good things to it, and I think it's amazing that your family support it so much as well. And so you mentioned the Chris Phillips podcast, and when I spoke to Chris Phillips, one thing that he said is that he loves what he does, and he loves obviously doing all the match reports that he does and everything. But there's sometimes he does think to himself that he would like to just watch a game and not have to worry about doing any of that. Is that something for you where sometimes you think, I sort of would like to watch a game and not have to hold a camera here, or do you just, is it just natural?
Yeah, I'd say it is natural now. I think if I turned up at Roots Hill without my camera, I'm sure one of the security people would be on me like, "Where's your camera?" for example. But no, I think Chris is right in a way when he says it would be nice, maybe just for a little bit, just to put down for him like the journalism side and me to put down the camera and just go, this is what a match day is like. Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'd be very different to what I see looking through my phone for 9 minutes going, But I might actually get to see people in the stands and not just through my lens. But I think, it would be, it's tricky now. I think it'd be nice. But at the same time, like we said before, I couldn't picture me doing anything else as such because I love it and I wouldn't want to stop. But I know things will come stale and there'll be a time and a place where things eventually will get boring and diversity might have to find a new pathway to go on. That's fair enough. But for now, no, pick up a camera any day of the week, get me in Roots Hill, and I'll film you a game worthy of a good bit of highlights.
do you find because this was again something that I spoke about with Chris Phillips, where with his job he obviously pretty much has to go to every game. With your YouTube channel, you have sort of a bit of an obligation to go to most games. Do you find it's a good excuse to just get to watch Southend a lot? Do you find that?
Because someone's in the other room, and I can't say that too loud. But yeah, it's an amazing excuse to be fair. Just like we said before, like we've both grown up with our families loving Southend, and it's like we said, it's a bug. It fixes you, and I say to everyone at games, I can't picture my Saturdays doing anything else. I can't picture me like going shopping or going out on a walk or doing this or that. It's just get me to Roots Hill, get me 90 minutes of action. I don't care if we get stuffed or if we thrash the other team. Just it beats any feeling. It's the thing I always love to say is football is a 90-minute distraction from life. For 90 minutes, you can just sit in a seat, watch a game in front of you, and life troubles can disappear.
They really do.
It's so relaxing, I find, and so far this season, fingers crossed, it's been all good.
Yeah, well, yeah, it has. Obviously, we'll move on to that soon and talk about Southend at the moment. But as you said, it's sort of how I feel as well. Like, obviously, I'm quite early days in what I'm doing, but at this stage in my life, I just find the idea of having a job where I can't go and see Southend pretty much every Saturday. I find that a weird thought. So I've always sort of known that I want to do something to do with Southend because, I just want to sort of combine my hobby and my job. And I think that's a good thing to do. And I think it's something that a lot of people want to do, to be honest. It's definitely growing. But yeah, hopefully we can both do jobs where we're focusing on Southend. That'd be pretty.
We'll be in the boardroom next year, mate. Don't you worry. We'll be in there.
Us two next to each other. That'll be cool. So obviously we've spoke about your vlogging, which was really interesting, and I think a lot of people appreciate you talking so passionately about it as well. So we'll move on to talking about Southend at the moment. Maybe a touchy topic, maybe not, but obviously not the greatest of starts to the season, but on paper, actually some of the results not too bad, really. I mean, that certain result not good, but others such as the Oldham drawing away to Oldham's not a bad result. A 2-0 win to Eastleigh is a brilliant result, and a 2-0 win to Boston is not bad. So, what do you make of our start to the season? Do you think fans should be a little bit more patient, or are you on the side of understanding the anger and what's your views on that?
So I think I'm a bit guilty of expecting too much too soon because we went. The second game of the season was away to Hartlepool, our first away game, and we drew 0-0, and they had 10 men, and you just thought, we should have come away with that. And I went on Twitter and I put at home to Boston on the Tuesday after that is a must win. Biggest mistake I've ever made. 3 games into the season is saying a game is must win, and I got slated for that, and I deserved it honestly because. I think I was part of that group where we had been in the dumps last season. Obviously, we've been down in the dumps for so long with all the court appearances, wine-up petitions, the takeover taking so long. I think me especially, I wanted to hit the ground running, and maybe I expected too much too soon from the club. Obviously, we had lost players in the summer, Callum Powell, Wes von Gook, and then as of recently, we've lost pretty much all of our spine of the team in Ollie Kensdale. His future is very clouded for us. Cardwell obviously gone to Forest Green, Cav Miley injured. So I think as time has gone on, I've realised that maybe this is a season that is going to be a marathon, not just a quick 400-metre race. We need to preserve a little bit and just go, okay, we're going to get beaten by teams. But if we play good football, that's what I think the fans, all they want is just to watch a team like against Sutton. We went 1-0 up. The whole post was rocking. We go and concede that sloppy goal at that. But it happens. Accidents happen in football. No one is perfect. If they were, they'd be playing in the Premier League for all those top teams. But we're not in the Premier League. We're down in the National League. We have to expect these things. So I think in terms of where we're going on this journey, we're certainly getting there. Like George Moncur coming in, I always refer to him as the gravy, the mustard, and the sides because he's literally God, my lord. George Moncur, my lord, you are a saviour. Macaulay Bond coming in. If there's anything like Moncur, he'll be firing soon enough. We've got players coming in that just need to adapt. We've had lots of new signings come in, the most we can say for a few seasons that have come in. So it takes time for these things to gel. And obviously, current existing players will try and help out these new ones, obviously, as you do. But I think we just need to take our foot off, like Kevin, Darren, Mark's neck a bit and just go, do you know what, guys? Let's hold off. Let's see how this goes. I think we'll be challenging for the playoffs. I like to say we'll be at the end of the season. But it's not how you start. I don't mind having a blip at the beginning as long as the end is a solid display. And maybe we can creep in like Aldershot did, like last game last season. It was between us, Rochdale, and Aldershot. 3 teams. Anything can happen in this league. So if it takes it down to the wire again, so be it. But I think, we take this as a marathon. We take it slow and steady. And before we know it, by Christmas, we'll be singing Jingle Bells all the way. Or what fun it is to see Southend win away. It'll be lovely.
Yeah, well, that's the hope, isn't it? And I agree with you. I think we should probably be a bit more patient. And, I probably did think at the start of the season as well, like, we're going to walk it this season. We're going to just smash teams. We don't have that weight off our back. But I think we've realised quite quickly that there's a difference this season where there's, well, firstly, our squad depth has actually almost gotten worse in a lot of ways. So that's not great. But also, we've come into the season. I know we had a pre-season, which is something. We didn't have a pre-season last season, so we didn't have a proper one last season. So that's the difference. That's the positive. But for the most part, I mean, it's really been worse starts to the season than last season. We didn't even know if we'd be a club about a month before. We couldn't sign really any players. All of our targets had gone by the time we could sign players, so we were just left with and all the good strikers had really gone. So we were just left with trying to find loan strikers, which is always tricky. And it was a tough start into the season. I think we probably as fans, and why not really? Because we've been through so many tough times. So it's good to have a bit of ambition for once. But I think people need to sort of decipher ambition and just being a bit too ambitious, maybe. And like Kev Mayer, I mean, this isn't probably the start he wanted, but he's been under incredible pressure, and there's expectations now that there weren't before. Like I was saying against Chris Phillips, and many others. It's last season, really, the expectation was let's just try and stay up. And if we stay up, it's really at times it looked like it's a miracle if we stay up. But this season, it's like there's a different sort of level of expectation where now it's like we're aiming for, some fans even want us to win the league. And it's like to go from hoping you stay up to go into wanting to win the league when you haven't improved any squad depth. And really the spine of the team is pretty much the same, if not a few players have left and a few players have come in, but really the team's about the same. To have those expectations change so quickly is a big thing, and a big thing to put on the shoulders of the players. So I'm in the camp of giving them a bit more time, I think. So talking about players then, who are your favourite players in the squad? Nice, easy question, I hope. But there's so many to choose from, so maybe it's not easy, actually.
Current squad, well, I think we have to start with the obvious. Our star man on the right, who is something dynamite. The start he's had to the season, oh my days. He's magic, incredible. That man. No, I don't think there's a player in that team that I can't not like, because like you touched on there with Kev, he didn't expect the start to the season, but the one thing Kev and his management team will get is players playing for the shirt and the badge. And as fans, especially all of us sitting in, going home away, we can see that. So there's not one player I don't think that I've got a bad opinion of. And no, I love them all. And I had to sing, oh gosh, just because he's amazing. But we can start with anyone like Colin, a young goalkeeper. Yes, okay, Saturday might not have been his greatest hour.
No. Yeah.
But do you know what? Like we said, everyone has an accident or a bad game in them. If it's out the way now, it's out the way. It's done. And like 𝗘𝟭𝟬 coming in to replace Ollie Kensdale, he has a lot of expectation on his shoulders. I think he's handled that superbly. Nathan Ralph, the captain, everything he does is amazing, especially in that season ticket video about West Ham. Jack Bridge, Mr. Southend, Macaulay, but everyone, Moncur is a G. Yeah. No, I don't have a bad opinion on any player or any management team at all, because what they've had to endure, most of them, through all of the seasons they've been with Southend, especially Kevin, the management team, is second to none. We had the hardest job in football going, and he stood up to the plate and went, I'm going to do this. And he could have jumped ship at any time. We all know there must have been interest in him from EFL teams needing a new management team.
Yes,
and he stayed. It's just madness.
It is crazy. And you said about Colin, I mean, I think a lot of the stick on him was quite unfair on Saturday. Actually, I think I heard a lot of people sort of talking and saying, "Oh, he was awful" and things. I know he didn't play well, but and his kicking clearly is an issue this season. I mean, his distribution hasn't been good enough, and there's no hiding away from that. It definitely hasn't been good enough, but there's a lot of things that could be. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. He might have a small calf issue or something, and there might be some sort of issue that we don't know about. That's just a little issue that's put his kicking off. But I think people forget, because of how amazing he's been. He's 21, and when he actually started playing for us, he was about 19. So for a keeper especially, I mean, that's young for any player, but for a goalkeeper, that is like incredibly young. And he's got things to learn, but his handling, that's not stopped at all, really. I mean, you look at his handling, even against Sutton, I mean, his handling was fine, really. The problem, I think, was the distribution. I don't think the back line helped on Saturday. There were a lot of mistakes in that back line, and he dealt with quite a few, but always a few are going to go in when the defence were playing how they were. I definitely think Colin, in my opinion, he's the best keeper in the league. So, in my opinion, I think he probably is. And I've seen quite a few keepers now, and when I talk to other teams' fans, they seem to agree. At 21 to be considered the best keeper in the league, it's not too bad. It's not bad going.
Exactly. And I think we have to remember, all those players that wear our shirt with pride are just humans. Like they will go online afterwards on socials, and they'll see if they've got abuse. Like we've singled out Colin there. I'm sure he must have seen or heard something, and that could really get in a player's head. And like, let's say we go into tomorrow night versus Fylde, and he still has a bad kicking distribution, and he'll get more abuse, and it will just drag further and further down. We have to remember, whilst it's easy for us sitting in the stands to yell abuse at these players on the field, they're all humans like us. They take abuse the same way, some even worse than others. So, yes, like we said, accidents are happening, and we can have bad games, but just leave it in the past. Let's move on. Fylde is tomorrow night. Let's just go clean slate. Right, Colin, if you have a bad kick, okay, just get it out of the way early, and let's just get on with the game. And if we win, we forget about it.
I think we've got a good chance this season. It's not been the best of starts, it really hasn't. We should have won a lot of games, but that's just how football goes. Sometimes you're going to have draws where you're like, well, we should have won that. And I'm sure every game that we've drawn, the opposition are probably going, oh, we should have won that, even if they shouldn't. So, you're always going to think, if you draw, oh, we should have won that, or we should have lost that. But at the end of the day, a point's a point. We move on. I hope we can just... It's a shame with the Sutton game, because, we just sort of started to get our foot in the door. The team started to gel. And I actually think with this sort of starting 11 we've got, with, it seems a little bit weird on paper, some of the players we've got in there, but I think it works. And I think we saw it against Oldham and we saw it against Eastleigh. We were starting to gel, and I couldn't make the Eastleigh game, sadly, but I've heard that apparently we played really well. So I've watched all sorts. So apparently we play really well, and I think against Oldham again we played well. So I think players like Moncur, when we have Cav Miley back, when we have players like that, I think it will start to work. And I think probably on paper we have probably the best 11, if not one of the best 11s in the league. So if we get a bit of depth around it, who knows what could happen. So we have got, as I said, a lot of fan questions to get through. So I think we'll move on to some fan questions because I don't want to keep you too long. So we've got about 9 questions to get through. And some are about Southend, some are about yourself, some are just random questions. So we'll get through them. So to start things off, we've actually got a question for both of us, which is quite nice. So we can both answer it, which is a nice way to start. So it's from Luke Walsh from the Luke Walsh Football Podcast, a great podcast, and I'm sure when we play Halifax, I'll have him on for an opposition Q&A. So starting off, Luke says, best side you've both seen this season. So I'll let you start if you like.
Oh, okay, that's put on the spot. This season, well, we haven't played too many this season, Luke, is what I'd argue back to you. Now, in terms of what I've seen just so far, then Oldham definitely are up there, just in terms of squad depth, what they can do. Do I believe their gaffer is the right man to take them forward? No, not really. I think if they had a managerial change lined up, they'll be up there booming all season. Barnet, obviously. Yeah, that was a hard one to take, that Barnet game. But Barnet will be up there again. There's a few good teams, but first one that comes to mind is Oldham. Straight away, Oldham.
Yeah, I agree. I'd agree with Oldham, to be honest. I was discussing this with my dad just before, but I think probably one of the best teams, just because of the circumstances and the fact that they'll come into our ground. I'd probably say York were up there for me because they came in, it's first game of the season. They've got a lot of expectations on them, which, again, they didn't have last season because they weren't doing very well at all. And obviously, they came in and they came to Roots Hall. And how many times do we see teams come to Roots Hall and have more of the ball than us? It rarely happens, really. I mean, usually we have more of the ball. And, they came and really they had a lot of the ball. We didn't play badly by any means. But, again, that's part of why I think they were such a good team, because we played pretty well, and they came back and got a really good point at Roots Hall. So I'd probably say either Oldham or York, I think, for me. So we'll move on to the second question. I believe it's probably just for you, the rest of them. So I'll let you take it away, but I'll probably add on this one actually a little bit, because it's quite an interesting one for a Southend fan perspective. Might be a bit tricky, might put you on the spot. But it's from Albert Brace. So we've got a question. What's your all-time Southend 11? So I'll let you answer that one. What a difficult question.
Jesus, Albert. What are you doing to me? You're literally lining me up for trouble. Right. I don't think I'm going to please everyone with this, but okay, off the top of my head. Right, let's hit it. We'll go. Okay, formation. What? I've got to think of a formation. We've got to think of a formation. Okay. Right, we'll go 4-3-3 just because I like that formation. So goalie then, there's so many good ones as well. God, I'll point out before I go in this. I think I'm going to just say players I've seen and witnessed. We've obviously been around a long time. We've had amazing players, but I'll just go ones I've seen. So sorry to any maybe of the older generations who I'm absolutely going to hate on me after this. But in goal, I have to say Dan Bentley. Just because I believe his technical ability, whenever he had a one-on-one, you just knew. You just had a feeling he's saving this. He's saving this. And just for that promotion final versus Wickham, the way that storytale went, you just have to. Yeah. Okay, 4-3-2, right back. I think there's a fitting one right now. Gus Scott Morris at right back, just for the sheer quality he can add. We've had, again, amazing right backs over the years, but Gus so far, the start he's had, the adaptation he's had from being in the National League South, I believe it was, before, to coming up to us, and in a season's already in the team of the season, making player of the week, team of the months. He's outstanding. Defence-wise, I think there's 2 that spring to mind, and one I absolutely adored when I was growing up is Adam Barrett. Just a big, meaty defender, a leader, a voice, just everything you loved about that man. And he was amazing to watch. Whenever, the goalie would kick a ball and you saw it going towards Adam, you just knew straight away, doink, back at you. The other one I'd say, Peter Clark. Won a player of the season with us. I think he was a bit overlooked. He obviously got that famous goal versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Got player of the season, like we said. He's still playing to this day at like 43 years old. So if that's not a testament to him or why he should be in the greatest, then I don't know what he's. Left back then to complete the defensive line. See, that's hard again. See, that is hard.
Do you reckon Ralphie gets it in with a shout?
I think he's up there. But then I was going to say Chris Powell. So why don't we let the fans decide that then? Ralph or Chris Powell?
We'll leave left back up to the comments. So whoever's watched this far can decide who the left back is.
Right. Okay. Well, that's at least one position I'm saved on then. Midfield then. One that springs to mind straight away. Ryan Leonard, absolute machine. Loved him. Absolutely loved him. Just box to box. You'd see him in, like, we'd have a corner. He'd be in there to win the header for us. The opposition team might head it away, and you just see Leonard sprinting past you, just going to get that ball back. It's just like, whoa. It's like, you're not beating that man. And no, he was always a fan and a player of the season 3 times, I believe. So, I mean, he's just amazing. I think it'd be rude not to put this next person in, 𝗘𝟭𝟬𝗩𝗘𝗥𝗦𝗧𝗬. Because it would just be rude not to at this point. Just what he's done. Yeah, we don't even need to cover what he's done. But I think he was a player at the club for 10 years off the top of my head.
Yeah.
If I've got that right, someone let me know. Because if I'm outstanding if I've got that right.
Nice.
Then to complete the midfield, go on, you got to give me a name. I'm getting tricky now. You got to give me a name.
Quad. There's quite a few that you can throw in, really. That's a tricky position. I'll leave that on to you, I think.
Okay. Just because he was the first player I ever got. He signed one of me match day programs once. I'll pick him. Jack Payne. Just because he was a little wizard. Yes, he's at Colchester now. Cue all the hissing and bad comments in the background. But no, I think on his day, he was a little magician. It was a long time ago. He was a little magician. If you picked up the ball in the middle, you knew he was going to attack. He wasn't afraid. And it is a long time ago now. But to have someone of that quality was outstanding at the time. I believe that was in the Paul Sturrock kind of era, coming into Phil Brown, when we had just had an embargo and we had like 4 players registered, and he made all those last minute signings. I believe Payne was one of them, as was Leonard. So I believe, I think Jack Payne, that would be a nice little midfield, Leonard, Mayer and Payne. See if we can get the band back together. If not, front 3. This is the fun part now, because obviously we've had lots of good attackers over the years. So for me, I'm just gonna put 3 out and out strikers, not wingers, just 3 out and out strikers, so they can bomb that box. And I think it would be rude not to go with Stan Collymore, Freddie Eastwood, and Barry Corr, in my opinion.
Well, that's certainly not bad shouts. So, I don't think you'll get slated in the comments. I think you're safe. So should be all right. Should be all right. So we'll move on to the third question. This comes from Liam Desmond. So we've actually we've spoken about this quite a lot, but I guess if you want to simplify all of our conversation, simply, Pip, will we go up this year? There you go. Tough.
Yeah, we will. We'll do playoffs. Okay. We'll get to the final. We'll win. I'm going in with confidence into my awards thing. I'm going in confident with Southend. Yes, we're going up this season with Oldham. I'll say Oldham. There you go.
Well, there you go. Not too bad, but let's hope we do. But I've been saying this. It's like, I know, obviously, the league itself, we're maybe not too happy with over what's happened to us and being given embargoes and all sorts. But actually, the teams that are in National League, I'm thinking there's so many good away games there. There's so many good games. There's so many good teams, good fans. It's a really fun league to be in. So, of course, I want to go up. But if we go up, we're going up to probably a more boring League Two. So it's a bit sad, really. But I wouldn't mind it another year in National League if it means that we can have National League. Well, I might get booed in the comments as well, but hate me for my sins. I do quite like National League. Secretly, I'll keep that a secret.
Just because it's 10 minutes down the road for you, isn't it?
Yeah, bro. Literally, about 10, 15 minutes or something. So I wouldn't mind keeping that away game. But I mean, they look like they're on their way out, so it's not ideal. Well, when we had Maidstone as well, that was always a good one. That was a good one for me. What other ones are not too far? Dawkins, not too bad. I mean, those ones, they're closer than Southend, if you put it like that. So,
that's true. I can't stand Meadowbank. Hate it. Plastic pitch, bogged in an away end.
Yeah.
Get me out. No. Sorry, Dawkins.
It's not a nice place to play, but I don't mind it as an away game though. It's quite a lot it's quite a nice little area, and there's some nice pubs and things, so it's not too bad. And the same with like Wealdstone and Maidenhead. I call them the Tuesday night games. The teams we always play on a Tuesday for some reason.
Yeah.
So yeah. So moving on, we've got this from Mia Leverett. So I think this probably means this season, or maybe overall from your years supporting Southend, whichever way you want to answer it, really. So it says favourite player so far.
Oh, okay. Favourite player. Okay, we'll do this season and we'll do it all together, because I think, this season, I think I'm going to be on the same level as a few other people when I say Gus Scott-Morris, just for the start he's had, and like we covered, he's a right wing back and he's the top goal scorer, and I think in the league he's 5th top goal scorer. Just mental, absolutely stupid that is. He's that good, and he's just such a fan favourite. You got to love the boy. All-time favourite player for me as a Southend fan. Oh, this will go under the radar, I think. Drew Yearwood. And that's going to cause a lot of stir, I think, just because he's the first player he's the first one I ever met that knew me, that recognised me, and I got a photo with him, and I was just like, holy moly, that I just recognised that straight away. It was really early days for me. It was like not even 6 months. And you went, oh, you do that YouTube thing, don't you? I was like, what? You know about that? So Drew all time. Yeah, it has to be up there.
Well, that's a lovely reason, personally, to choose him. I think I'd probably, to be honest, there's so many I could choose in the current squad because there's such a likeable group of players. So there is a lot I could choose in the current squad, but probably all time. I mean, Dan Bentley will always be up there for me, and obviously what he's gone on to do. That's always, and he's sort of my era of watching as well. So he'll always be up there for me. But really, I've always loved Gus Scott-Morris, not even just as a player, just as a person as well. I just think he's brilliant. And yeah, there's loads you could choose really, but those two will probably have to be my two favourites. In terms of ones I haven't seen, well, obviously Kev Mayer, but not for his playing, probably for me, more so for his managing, because maybe my age is showing a little bit there. So, so this next one comes from Dale Howe. So, well, I guess we could both answer it. So it's, what would you be happy with this season? So I'll let you start. What would you be happy with this season?
I'd be happy with a season of keeping our noses clean from court and just rebuilding within the community as a club, and just building those foundations back up that were torn apart and ripped down in the background behind the scenes by our famous ratty chairman. I'd be happy with that. In terms of a finish, I'd like I said, playoffs, I think would be the aim. I think we've got a good chance of it. Like we said, it's always a marathon. I'd like to say we'll finish 6th. I think it'll come down to that last month period where everyone starts really putting it into 5th gear and going like, right, we need to go now. And I think we will come out of that the better side. We'll get in the playoffs. We'll sit in 6th. Maybe not comfortably. It might come down to the last game again, but get in the playoffs and we'll fight our way through it, get to Wembley, have a major sellout in one end, have a great day. That'll be one good video for me and one great video for you as well. Yeah. And no, I think we can do it. I think this season is the season, but like we said, let's just start slow and build.
Yeah, I think definitely a good, and I agree with you. Just build off the pitch, have some stability for once in our life, and just if we get in playoffs, then I'm happy. If we finish mid-table, I'll probably be happy, as long as we have something to build on and we have a future. So really happy with whatever, if that's a boring answer. So so this next one isn't actually a question, but it was sent in, so I thought I would say it. So we were saying about obviously fan recognition. So he said so this is from Zulf. So I hope I pronounced that right, but I'm not too sure. So it says, just saying hi from a follower from Switzerland. So there you go. I know we've been complaining about our distance. Well, we've been not complaining, but we've been talking about our distance like we have it bad. He lives in Switzerland, so that's not a bit further than Basingstoke, I think.
Oh, that's nuts. That is nuts. Wow. Fair play to you. If he ever gets in contact with me, I'll buy him a ticket to a match.
well, there you go.
Switzerland. Oh,
there you go. The offer is on. So, well, hello to you too. So, thank you for supporting from Switzerland. That's quite something. So, the next one comes from Chris Phillips. We've been talking about him. So, it's nice that he sent in a question. So, it says, this is one that I am very interested in as well. And, will there be an interesting answer? I don't know. You have to tell us. So, why the name Diversity? I've always wondered. Why the name Diversity?
Oh, hello, Chris. Yes, I always get nervous when Chris Phillips sends me a message because it's always got to be something I have to really turn my head on for and go like, right, I've got to answer this properly. He's a journalist. You have to answer this right. So I'll do my best right here, right now. So, Chris, why am I called Diversity? Simply, Diversity was never going to be a vlogging channel. Simply, it was never going to be. It was always going to be a gaming channel. And that will sound funny considering what I said earlier about being a chef and coming out and watching vlogs. And it was going to be a mix of a gaming channel and a vlogging channel. But I did gaming to start with, and it really didn't hit the heights I thought it would. And it was awfully hard to edit. Just harder than a vlog, I would say. Just the sheer amount of time you have to line things up correctly, get volume sorted. I hated it. I honestly was like, do you know what? We're giving that miss. And at the time, I was early days in vlogging. And it started to take off a little bit. So I just thought, why not? It kind of has a little bit of a ring to it. And it has nothing to do with Southend, which is kind of odd at the same time. But no, so to answer your question, Chris, it was never going to be a vlogging channel, like we said. And I kind of just enjoyed the name. I just thought Diversity, it's kind of a good meaning. It's not a bad name, but hey, if it sticks, it sticks. And thankfully, so far, it's stuck. And hopefully it will for a little longer.
Well, it's definitely an identity as well. And it's quite a catchy sort of one-word name. It's got a ring to it, definitely. So, it's worked out. So why not keep it?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think? If you had to change it right now, what would be a good, what would be a good name to change it to?
Oh, wow. Okay. See, that's tricky because I don't like generic name. I don't like I wouldn't like to put the word Southend or something like vlog or TV in it. I like names that are a bit more out there, like Diversity. It's got nothing to do with the topic, but it just rings. Like you said, it's a one word, just ding. Yeah. If I could change, oh my God. I'll just make my channel Gus Scott Morris highlight reel at this rate.
Fair enough. Yeah, it'd be pretty much.
It would just be. No, honestly, I don't think I could answer that. That would take a lot. It took me. In fact, here's one thing. It took me about 4 months to think of Diversity. Right. So imagine how long it would take me to replace that name.
Yeah, that would be tricky. But maybe we will leave it up to the comments. If Diversity wasn't called Diversity, what would you call them in the comments below?
Nice.
But
please be nice.
I guess with my name, it's sort of like Blues News. It sort of made sense at the time because I started off my account sort of doing like news to do with Southend and stuff. But I guess as I've sort of developed, like I don't really do news anymore because I wanted to find my own niche, and like with news, really, if you want to get your Southend news, you're going to go to London Shrimper or Simply Shrimpers or one of those pages, or Shrimpers Brazil. There's a lot of pages that like that. So really, I just obviously Shrimpers Brazil has his niche with being Brazilian and writing posts in Brazilian. Simply Shrimpers has his niche because he posts news, and I just sort of wanted mine. So I've sort of Q&As and interviews and starting a podcast and things like that is sort of what I more enjoy. So I guess Blues News doesn't make too much sense because I don't do news anymore, but it sticks, so it'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
So moving on, we've got a question from Scott Fraser, which is well, actually, we've already answered it. So it's pretty much the same question that we had before. So it's who's your favourite Southend player? So there we go, 𝗘𝟭𝟬 to answer your question. And for me, Bentley or Gus Scott Morris probably. So there you go. And lastly, we've got. If you don't want to answer this one, well, I understand it's a little bit of a personal question, but I can see why it might be of interest. So it's from Beanstagram. So it's how long have you been married for, and how old are you? There you go. Two questions in one.
I can answer that. That's fine. So I'm not married, as someone in the other room will probably banging on my wall, going like, "Yeah, you're not." So we're not. We've been together, me and my partner, for 2017. So coming up on 7 years. Yeah, 7 years in December.
Wow.
And in that time, we've had 2 amazing kids. We've moved house multiple times, and no, she's my rock. Honestly, she is my rock. She supports me a lot with this YouTube thing, and I am a right pain, as you can probably imagine, being in a couple or just being on your own, and you say, "Oh, well, you got to go this week," and you're like, "Oh, Oldham or Hartlepool or York."
Yep.
And she just sticks with me and just goes like, "You can go, but you're going to owe me like a major shopping trip." And it's like, "Yeah, I know, love." So I probably owe her about 20 A4 lists of things. But no, she is a rock. And the 2 children I have, Layla and Elijah, they're my world. Honestly, as like I said earlier, give it a couple years, and who knows where I'll be on a personal level and where diversity could be. But I'd love to just turn around to them and just go, "This is what happens if you chase something, if you chase your dream."
Yeah.
This is where, again, fingers crossed, it's something to do with Southend still, but we'll see. But no, they are my rocks. They mean the world to me, and hey, there might be maybe marriage soon, but we'll see. We'll see. Give me a chance to maybe move to Southend first. Let me save some money.
Well, that's lovely, and that pretty much concludes the podcast. So I've really enjoyed having you on, and obviously it's been really enjoyable. I always try and keep them a bit shorter, and I never do. So I always apologise at the end. Yeah, it's gone for quite a while, but I've really enjoyed it. So, and I hope everyone does too. So, yeah, thank you for coming on, Pip. I'm sure I'll definitely have you on one day again. You know, we'll have a catch up, and we'll maybe if you move to Southend one day, we'll have a catch up then. Maybe if I move to Southend as well, we'll have a catch up.
The dreams.
So yeah, thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to say before I end it?
If you're still awake after 56.5 minutes, thank you very much for tuning in. And I think it'd be fitting for me to end it on my personal style of vlog. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Make sure you're liking Blues News, all their stuff they post out, because they are simply amazing. And I think it goes something like peace.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I believe my dad made one of the weirdest jokes you probably ever when he came up to you and went, "Peace." That was probably one of the worst moments. That was probably one of the worst moments of my life, to be fair. one of the most awkward moments. But there you go. There's some fan recognition, so I'm sure he'll appreciate that send off. So there you go. So thank you for coming on, Pip. I've really enjoyed it. It's always good fun. So yeah, thank you for coming on. If everyone enjoyed, obviously I'll leave your YouTube in the description below. So obviously I'm sure everyone's checked out your YouTube, but if you haven't, then it'll be in the link below. So make sure to check that out. Obviously like and subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one. Thanks, Pip.